أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. Selamun Aleyküm ve Rahmetullahi ve Berekatuhu. So this is the second session. Inshallah, we will talk about whether this idea of a creator, whether this idea of a sustainer or God, however it is reflected in your life, whether it is a relevant concept in my life, or should it be a relevant concept, or is it just an irrelevant? So let's assume we are, for a moment, we are convinced that yes, there must be someone who creates everything. And so what? That's the whole theme, right? So how am I going to live with belief? We live with my conviction, with my conclusions. And in this part, we will just have one just part of it. We will study it in the context of supplication, that I feel my neediness and I ask for help, let's say. And in this case, that in this context, we will try to answer whether God is a relevant or irrelevant concept for me. And I'm not assuming any, the biases, meaning like I'm not assuming that, oh, God must be relevant for you. Don't just do it. Why is not relevant for you? So this wouldn't be our approach. Just try to see whether, is it or not. So let's start with some moments of our lives. Maybe one warning would be, so we prepared this presentation, prepared the whole discussion with a few people. I gave the names at the beginning, doesn't matter much, but although like all ideas presented, they are somehow like cumulative ideas of different people. Because I'm sitting on chair, I'm presenting, they have to be, and they will be, my own ideas, my own feelings. At the end, I'm presenting. So when I say, when I talk about some moments of life, I will be talking about some moments of my life. That's the most I can do, and in hope that you may also, have some overlapping moments of your life that we can help each other, inshallah. So that's the point. So from the beginning, I know that it is kind of personal, and I guess that should be the way. So sometimes life really seems unbearably tragic to me, just like I guess everyone else. Sometimes I these failures in my life, some, as I call, some interruptions in my story of success. Sometimes life is not just full of success, but actually, like in my life, I have many of these unbearable, tragic moments. I have these fights in workplace, I have fights in family, I have fights with my friends. They don't have to be physical fights. They don't have to be even like the fight that the people other than me see them as fight. Sometimes, my life thinks, she loves me, I love her. But what I have inside is a fight between different things that I cannot make sense of. That something doesn't feel right. And all these different voices in my head telling me different things, and I witness this fight between them. Or sometimes it's just a simple miserable point where you think you could do something, and at the end you realize that you cannot do it. This happened a lot to me because as a profession, I have to produce things like many of you. And most of the time I find myself like, I cannot produce these things that I am supposed to produce. And almost all my relationship, my expectations usually do not fit the outcomes. So in such moments, I have different strategies to cope with them. One of them is just, screaming that I am significant, I can do it. I might have failed this time, but I will do it better next time. And this is the official strategy of my workplace, for instance. Whenever somebody fails, we say, okay, now you learn from your failure. Next time you will do it better. Because we trust you. You have the strength. You have capacity in you. So just try harder. You will do it. You can run all these stairs. You will reach there. And when I do that, again, when I look at my life personally, I see that these moments, they just fly away. When I try to remember what happened, like I remember the misery part, when I try to remember how I was, able to cope with it, and it's not even there, like it just goes away. It doesn't tell me anything. So I cannot carry such outcomes or strategies that carry with me. They don't help me next moments. And actually what happens when I try to convince that, I can do it, I should hard harder, with every problem in front of me, I find myself as the solver, like I have to solve it. I tried it, it worked before, now I have to solve it again. So in our culture, in the culture I was raised, I guess it happens more with maybe males, and it causes problems with the relationships, right? Sometimes your spouse just tell you a problem, not to solve it, just share it, and you right away try to solve it. Oh yeah, yes, you feel this way, but you should feel that way, or you should do this, you should do that, and usually the other side feel bad. Like, I didn't want you to solve something. Like, just share with me, and I cannot do that because of these strategies. Like, I have to solve them. Or sometimes, something again tragic, seemingly at least tragic, bad thing happens, and what I try to do is just scream, it's not fair, like I'm not supposed to have this. I am clever, I am, attractive if I was, refused. I have this, I have that. So how you dare, whoever, we are screaming to, how dare you, giving me such a moment? So nowadays I have a back pain, like it's going away. Okay, it should be okay from now on. So, yes, like when I look at the reality, what I see is that everybody, even inanimate gears, even a pen, even a seed, even a tree, even a kitten, everyone and every single creature is being heard, including myself, of course. Entire of my body is working. There's a call and response. All my feelings, all my desires, my intellect, right? When I need it, when I call for it, it is given. Sometimes it's not given. It has its own beauties. But most of the time, I see them, they are given. So I ask, mostly unconsciously, as a confession. I call through my needs, I'm not even aware. I call through my potentials, I'm not even aware. And they are provided. So in such a world, of course, I start feeling that maybe I'm not alone, maybe he's really relevant. Maybe everything, I was supposed to do, achieve myself, was not my achievements. Maybe, they were just, I was calling, and somebody was just giving the response to me. So my life is a dialogue, after all. It's not a monologue. So I would ask you, just take one minute. So think about things that you are given as a response to your callings, whatever it means for you. Please take just 1 minute. There's nothing, wrong with this, especially guys. Like, it doesn't take away from your masculinity. Think about just 1 minute. Everything you are given as a response to your calls. Now it takes 3 minutes for things not given, because they're usually more, right? At least when we try to count them, when we try to
look at our lives, the things that are not given usually occupy more time of our lives. So let's try to think about things that they're not given.
Even that one thing that's not given takes much longer to accomplish.
Yes. There's always this complaint part, right? So it seems that, sometimes we are given, most of times actually, if we take, as I said, all these potentialities, all these needs of my body, for instance, being sustained, yes, most of the time they are given, but sometimes, which occupies more in our minds, I guess, we are not given the things we want. I have a friend, he, for years, asking for Tesla, the car. He's not even close. I mean, can you imagine? He's not even close to get this Tesla. Unfortunate for him. So poor guy, he's not given. There's some certain things, I'm asking for years. Still no chance. But sometimes they are given. When I work hard, for instance, I do my active, let's say, prayer, supplication. I get a good points or results from projects, whatever. So what is the point of calling and getting the response if it's just when I take it from the outcome perspective? It works sometimes, it does not work in other times, just like being lucky, unlucky. So it doesn't solve the problem, right? Because at the very beginning, when there is no dialogue in your life, You were already seeing your life as sometimes being lucky, sometimes being unlucky. Now we say, okay, if my Creator says, call on to me, I will respond to you. I look at the creation, I see all these responses, and I say, oh yeah, there must be a truth in this. But sometimes there is no response, apparently. So then what is the point of this call and response? Hey, by the way, please do not hesitate to interrupt. If you want to interrupt, just do it. So then asking question, what is the outcome or what is the point of calling and getting response? Why Quran is talking about this? If he wants me be happy with everything that I am given, why is not given the things I'm asking for, right? The car. But going back at the beginning, like when I was honest to myself, what I need, and when I say, I need affection, I need compassion, I ask for a beautiful machine or whatever because I think it will give me affection and compassion. I ask for a perfect relationship because I think through this relationship I will get the compassion I need, mercy I need. So when I'm honest to myself, when I look at, again, the creation through this lens and going through all these processes that we mentioned, seeing that things are already given, things are already responded in you, like hold your body, for instance, functioning as a response to your call. So actually, just asking for something, like the mere action of asking itself, it's just being honest to yourself. It's just being in sync with the rest of the reality. You just accept that, I'm a needy being, and all my needs are provided, and I'm just articulating this consciously this time. Through my entire life, they were being provided. I was not aware, I was just ignorant. But this specific moment, I choose to be aware. What is the opposite of ignorant? Help me. Acknowledging, okay. I choose to be conscious about it. So asking or calling him, or supplication, or raising your hands and asking sometimes, it's just being true to yourself, true to your body, true to the seeds, the rocks, trees that you observe. That we all need things, that we all have some potentials. And we ask for them. Just like in this very moment, consciously making this call.
Can I
Say please.
For instance, to reach or carry this cup, I don't pray that, oh God, please help me to reach this cup, or let me lift this cup. But if I am carrying a very heavy washing machine alone, I had to do it once. And it was giving me nightmares, and I was praying all night, like, oh God, please help me to carry it from the first floor down. When I feel like I have to pray, I'm close to my reality that I'm infinitely important before God. Not before the created beings, but before God. I'm infinitely important. So I'm close to my own reality. But there are sometimes, when to be honest, I never pray that, oh God, please help me to lift this cup.
So, like
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I call these moments of carrying a huge, what was it, washing machine?
No.
Washing machine. like as I said at the beginning, as interruptions of my story of success. Because the rest of my life, I assume I can handle it by myself. But there's an interruption. It tells me something about me. So this is, I guess, explained in Quran, many places, I'm sure. But one place I really like is in chapter Hud, I guess. The part which talks about Noah and how he's making a dialogue with the people, like with the people of the high society, let's say, of his community. They say to Noah when he comes with a message, he's trying to explain them the reality, and they say, we don't see you other than a man just like us, and everyone who follows you, they are the lowest of our society. So everyone who follows you, they are the lowest of our society. So they kind of, suggest him that get rid of them. His response is interesting. He says, I'm not going to, force away the people who attain, those who attain the belief. They are the ones who return their sustainer, their Rabb. So I see these moments as those lowest of my society. And Quran says those are the moments of your life that goes back to or returns to their sustainer. So when I have this apparent misery in my life, a washing machine waiting to be carried, through these moments, at least to me, it's much easier to go back to my reality. Seeing my neediness, seeing my impotence, and asking for what I need, compassion. So I guess that's the reason, actually, what I was saying, like some moments stays with me, some moments of misery, when I take them as message barriers. What are you telling me about my life? They stay with me. They tell us, about all this sustenance, because you've been given all this sustenance. Everything around you being given all this sustenance. Just realize, and life will transform. Life will change for you. So yes, most of the time we only have these 1, 2, 3 moments that we ask, call him, just like only 1, 2, 3 people who followed every prophet. This is what is narrated in the Quran. Only a few people, a bunch of. Go ahead, please.
To follow up on that, so these moments of interruption, I think very well said, make us actually recognize how profoundly weak we are. And those are our precious moments, because that's the truth, and then that's when we are most turning to the Creator and receptive to the Creator. At the same time, as you say, those moments are less, right? Or appears to be less, depending on how old you are. If you're younger, it feels smooth, or if you get strict, it depends. But what I'm curious is, how can we embrace those moments as well? For instance, right now we are speaking, and because I don't happen to have a speech impediment at this point, I want to say things and things flow. And you were speaking, and every time I open my mouth, I don't worry about whether the voice will come out or whether you'll be able to hear me. So how am I going to inhabit these kind of moments? And there are much more. And even if I can't speak, for instance, I'm able to hear. Like, they're always constantly this flowing. How can we embrace those moments as well? is going back to the Creator. And I'm not sure how, but I think one clue is that if we can live those moments as a person who's receiving abundance and taking joy that this is happening through me, because both of them are actually the same, pointing and taking me to my Creator. But moments of failure have their own intensity and brightness, and then moments of ease and ability to do things, that things are coming through you, those also have a way of taking me to my Creator. So I don't know if if I'm able to express, but we need to be able to feel and embrace them both as going back to God. And maybe one way to do is not one way, but one place where I see this is moments where you step into doing something where you're absolutely terrified. Only intellectually, mentally, you say, well, I should be able to do this, right? I mean, when I first started driving, I was terrified. And I kept saying to myself, like, look, this 16-year-old is driving, so I should be able to drive. I'm 27, I can do this. But I was terrified. But then, in those moments, emotionally, I'm not there. But a part of me can be there as saying that, well, God can give me this. And it's not through me anyway. Sometimes, when we say it's not through me anyway, you are sick in bed and it's clear that it's not from you. And sometimes you are driving that truck and you have an opportunity to realize this is not from me. And one place where it's clear to me is when we make the first step. You say Bismillah and you go and you have actually no idea where you're going and how you're going to do this, but there is a voice in you says, just go, you can do this. And what does it mean, I can do this, I can't do this, but I'm able to do this because it's not from me. So those moments of success can also be embraced some way.
So what you were explaining reminded me of a verse that says something in the form of, we will test you, or we will educate you through both abundance and those interruptions. So as you say, the moments where things seem to work, as well as moments where things don't seem to work, should both be a source of me receiving the message, me reading the universe. Mm-hmm. So I cannot say that I can read the message that comes with the universe only when things don't work. As you pointed out, I should be able to read the message in abundance when things work. And we can't always be successful in doing this. And then, as Faraz was pointing out, you go through the story of Maryam to understand, to learn how things can become a sign, either way. I remember when taking an exam, I studied really hard, and I was really confident. I just couldn't do anything the first half of the exam, and then I threw my hands up. What's going on? Why can I not do it? And then the next, I remember thinking, oh my Lord, I did my part, but can you please let me do this? And then the second half, I was busy completing the whole exam. And so I remember thinking, I will not forget this. So it was kind of an example of both, in the sense that, there was an interruption, but in a situation when I thought things should work. And so that taught me that when things do work, don't forget it's from me, right? So I just wanted to say that is true. That's all.
So So one thing, so we, like as a group, when we were discussing this, we were asking very similar question, like how we going to make it, like how we can use it really. How we can try to catch all these moments as well. They would stay with us as well. The moments of success, let's say. So these things, like when I say them, I look at the creation, I see this potential, it comes through, I'm happy, you know, it is being given. I need something, it is being given. It is really easy to say, to be honest, for me. I read it from a, let's say, a passage, it's, yeah, makes sense. But the question is, do we have any, really, like the moments in my life that I really, when I'm walking, for instance, am I thinking that, wow, I'm walking? Like, I don't know what's going on there, but I'm walking. So we tried this, we tried to implement, like, let's think, next time we walk, let's try to think. Like, do not imagine something, just, you know, try to think that you are walking. And it changes things dramatically, really, like even the simple thing. When you do it, when you think it, that I want to walk, I want to go home, because home means a peace for me. From work, hell, to heaven. The workplace, the home, right? You're walking, and this walking carries you to heaven. And when you think about it, when you walk, I want to walk, and it's being given. So just my suggestion would be, you know, how we can do this. Like, I don't know really answer, I don't know either, just like you. But one thing I can think of, I always say, you know, I'm a simple-minded person, like I need some simple practical things to do. And when I exercise this, when I walk, I ask myself, like, do I want to walk? And the answer is definite. Like, I want to walk really fast so that I can reach home really quick. I want to walk, definitely. Is it given? Or is it you just walking? When I ask during the walking, the moment of success, walking, just mundane thing, it becomes source of enjoyment because it tells me that you are not alone. I hear you, you need walking, I'm giving you walking. So such, you know, practical things that we can do. Very simple things. When you reach your cab, just ask yourself, like, do you want to reach it? And what is the outcome? A need, hope, and response.
So apologies in advance to people who might find this blasphemous, but I think living with the Quran, what you're saying, or the cup, I feel I need to live with the Quranic verses as reminders for the moments, all moments. There's two things I want to say, both of them controversial, so you can close your ears or don't pay attention. Anyway, so one is, when I understand the Quran tells me, Hajj Baytullah to me is not once in a lifetime. Making pilgrimage to the house of God is a way to live your life. If you want to pick up the cup and you want to say, I am going to find myself in the presence of God as I pick up the cup, you have to look at the verse when God tells you, make Hajj to the house of God. You have to live it. You know, it is an aid, it is a tool for me. If I think I'm going to make it once, then you make it once and that's okay. Then the rest of the time you don't make pilgrimage to the house of God, you know, then you live the consequence of it. Second thing I want to say is wudu, what I understand from wudu. You know, why God says I cannot glorify Him. When I'm making wudu, what am I purifying? So to me, I am purifying the everyday acts of of my hands and my feet. Where I walked, you mentioned walking and you mentioned hands, so they came together. What do you do with your hands? A billion things every moment. What do you do with your feet, walking here, walking there? You are using your organs, collecting deeds onto these organs that are not done in the name of God. When you make wudu, you purify those collections of deeds that you did unconsciously, ghafla, in the name of those things, without the presence of God in them, through them, you purify yourself. So that's why you're ready for prayer after wudu. So the wudu, if you didn't collect any heedless actions, you wouldn't understand wudu. You can't understand wudu. So to me, the everyday small heedless acts are a beautiful thing if at the time of wudu you understand what you're doing. If you don't understand wudu, or if you don't, then those pointless everyday holding of the cup, ghafla, remains like a mystery, like I don't know why God made me in a way that not 24 hours, every second I am super conscious of His presence. This is reality, not, so instead of aiming for, yes, we should aim to be, like there's two sides. One, you have to make pilgrimage to the house of God. But another side of human being, there are still things you will just do and say. You will see with your eyes, you will hear with your ears, you will walk with your feet and touch things not in God's name, not seeing the merciful there. That's why you are asked to make wudu. Wash away those impurities you collect to turn back to being purely in the presence of God. So those are two things I wanted to say. But again, you can ignore these if you don't like.
Something similar, going back to my response to Muhammad's question. I guess a similar way, Quran tells us that you can just want to live your life in a pure way. But I know you, the moments that will return to me, the moments you will attain faith, will be only a few. On the lowest of your life, a few of them will be returning to me. This is what I understand with like only a few of people following prophets. But at the same time, he says, maybe this is relevant to what you said, I'm not sure, but at the same time he says, but don't worry, I will not let you alone. All your sins will surround you. Meaning, I'm not leaving you alone. I will remind you. Through your sins, to your bad doings and so on and so forth, I will burn you some from time to time. I will not let you alone. So, I guess there are things that we can do, like we can practice what we learn here, that everything is a call, the response to a call. We can practice this in our life. But at the same time, as you said, we will miss some moments. We will miss maybe many of them. But thanks to God, He will not leave us alone. He will put them around us. They will surround us. So they will remind us constantly.
Can I say something in response to that?
Sure.
We cherish mistakes. They're great. But one doesn't like making the same mistakes over and over. So what do you say about that? I certainly don't like it. So I want to see myself as moving on to advanced mistakes, not just simple mistakes, right? So if I am getting the lesson, reading the signs from everyday events properly, then I'm not saying I'm going to be a mistakeless person, but at the same time, I want to make new mistakes that I have not seen before. It's not going to be repeated, but these will be more advanced mistakes and then I will learn more advanced stuff from it, because in me I find that I want to advance, right? I become unhappy when I see myself not advancing.
So I would kindly ask not to answer the question. We don't have much time left.
Okay, yeah.
But we can discuss it because it's not
I'm sorry.
directly related to supplication.
Right,
So
yeah,
if you
sorry.
don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, just okay, so going back to the question, like, okay, I see these calls and I see the responses only maybe a few moments of my life. And then when I contemplate, when I think, that I realize the call and response is always there, everywhere. With me, with every creatures. And sometimes they are responded, sometimes they are, let's say the outcome sometimes is given, sometimes not given. So I call I ask the question, so what is the real, like what does it mean being responded then? Because Quran says, call on to me and I will respond. It doesn't say I respond sometimes, not other times, every time. So we've been trying to understand what is the process of this responding. The one thing we said, okay, it's being true myself because my entire reality is a call and response to this call. So by just calling him, you are being true to yourself, which is like you gain something already, just by calling. Right? Enlightenment is given to you already. Realizing your need is given to you, it's not from you. Acknowledging your impotence is given to you. So response is already started just from the very beginning. And maybe more important, at least for me, when I call someone, this is so cliche maybe, but it works for me, like this is my reality. I know that someone is called, like listening to me. And this is, like I cannot prove that this is true for Abdurrahman, for Muhammad as well, but for me this is like a crystal clear truth, is that when I know this, that I'm not alone, the rest I don't care much. That was a project application. You can find like similar examples in your life. We sent it. It was let's say an important project, whatever it means. We sent it, reviews came. One of the reviewers said something I cannot believe. Like he used the words, I would be most happy. As if, he knew me, as if he was, he knew what I needed to hear, and he gave me these words. So it cannot be luck, like I cannot believe such a lie. I was so happy, like this is what I needed. Like, how did you know, right? You're saying exactly what I needed. And when I realized that there must be somebody who listens, who knows me, who can also control the reviewer's mind, like to send these words to him or her. Like you cannot really imagine how, I'm sure you can imagine through your experiences that how happy I was. And once I realized that there's someone listening to me, I didn't care about the outcome at all. Whether the project was, approved or not, because I knew that even if it was not approved, it was a response to another call that I'm not even aware. Somebody is listening to me. What else I could ask? And another part of response, I guess, when I call, is it takes me to his presence. Meaning, it acts like a telephone line, like given specific to me, specially to me. This misery, like it's finely crafted just for me. So for instance, my misery wouldn't for Faraz, I guess. He wouldn't care about them. Some misery points for Faraz wouldn't work for me. I wouldn't care. Like, who cares about I don't know, my mother said this or that. He's so linked to his mother, does the miseries for him and especially crafted for him. So it's like a private telephone line for me. It takes me to his presence because I know that everything in my life was provided by him. So I'm in the presence of someone who doesn't only create me, but creates the whole universe, sustains the whole universe. And I guess it also helps me know him better, because when I'm honest to myself, so I don't call an imaginary being, I call the one who made me pass through all the exams in my primary school, who made me, find the most suitable spouse for me, who is the one who made me walk every day, when I'm honest myself. So calling him with these names, as you call, makes you know, make the relationship between you and your sustainer better. So a question, I guess this also relates to Sister Sisra's question. So what to do, okay? So what? How we benefit from the other moments, which are not interruptions in my story of success. I guess like a very simple thing we could do, just try to implement them. Like, be honest to yourself. When you walk, when you try to reach a cab, just make wudu. Purify yourself. Even if you claim that you do it, next moment try to make wudu and you say, okay, I claimed this, I made a mistake, but somebody knew that I needed to walk and he made me walk. It changed a lot for me by taking such a practical steps. When I'm happy with something, just think about it. What kind of need it sustains for you. So don't let it be wasted, all these moments of your life. Oh, okay, let's finish with the calling. I don't know if you can read it, but can somebody who has really strong sight help us to read it? Would you like it?
Huh?
Oh, you were? Oh,
No, yeah.
oh, okay.
I just gave a recap of what you just said.
Oh, okay. Would you like it? Abdurrahman, read it for us.
To the most merciful, the all compassionate, the responder to all calls, we ask for forgiveness for all the mistaken words we articulated, all the wrong ideas we shared. O the one who constantly forgives, forgive us again. O ever-present one that never leaves our side, on behalf of everyone here, send your endless peace and blessings upon our guide, our teacher, Muhammad, and his family and his companions. We have gathered here to understand his message, to understand his purpose, and to understand his guidance. O my sustainer, who would not load his servants with weights that they cannot carry, one who alleviates all loads, relieves and comforts all hearts. You are the healer, who heals all ailments, all worries, and all anxieties. Heal the doubts in our minds, the illnesses of our bodies, and the sicknesses of our souls. Heal everyone who is present here and everyone who is with us through our bounds of Islam. Let our studies become vehicles towards knowledge of you. Make our tiny efforts to reach you, to reach your countenance, a huge success in this world and the hereafter, through your endless mercy. O my sustainer, as you are merciful with me, be merciful with all the people that have attended this retreat and all the people that have worked to organize this beautiful event, in which we have been brought closer to you, in which we have been reminded of you, Grant them all with the greatest blessings, and be pleased with them, as they have pleased me. Grant your peace and blessings upon our teacher Muhammad, whose message be witnessed and confirmed. And grant your peace and blessings upon his family and his companions. Ameen, 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 ameen.
Thank you. And is that? Thank you.
Thank you.
We have, I guess, 3-4 minutes if you have any questions. Or otherwise we can.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah, please.
So, you said that you were talking about a project and you didn't even care about the outcome of the review because there might have been a call that you didn't even know. So there are some calls that we don't see, but we can see. But are there some calls that we don't even know that we're calling for, we can never ever think of?
Great question. So, I'm just thinking, like, I don't know the answer, like a full answer. The only things come to my mind is there are many calls that I'm not aware. Like, I guess the usual example, I'm listening to you, you are speaking, right? And I want to hear you, I want to understand you.
Yeah.
And surprise, I'm understanding you. So I need to understand you, and I've given the understanding. So there's a call, right? I want to understand, but I'm not even aware. I'm not, consciously asking it. But somehow, because I need to understand you, it's a call. And he gives me understanding. So it's responding. So I guess there are many of our lives, many moments of our lives like this. Like we need something and it's given. So this is one example I can think.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, sometimes we call for something, but okay, like I'm calling for this pen. I'm calling for kadayıf olması, for the sake of an example. Nefer. I think I'm calling for that, but in reality, in deeper down, I am calling for something else. Like I want sustenance and happiness and pleasure and so on. Sometimes I'm not conscious of what I'm really calling for, and sometimes I'm more concentrated on the material side of what I want. Okay, maybe I'm distorting your question, but I'm answering what I want to answer.
Every time we try to answer a question like this one, like she asked me a question, and how I feel like I need to give an answer, but it's not there. What I'm going to do, right? I need an answer.
That's the Nurju
And voila!
disease.
Sorry?
That's the Nurju disease.
Oh, okay. No, like even my answer is a stupid one. Doesn't matter. Like I don't love the gaps, right, in my mind. So she asked me a question, and I need an answer, and I know that it's not there. In a span of moment, it's there now. So how did this happen? Like I wanted to give an answer, and somebody sent me some idea, a call and a response. I was not even aware of this, for instance, until you asked the question. Please.
And, I feel like the question that Maryam is asking is really the gist of the theme of this year's retreat. Because we were asking, how am I going to live with my belief? And in that presentation, for example, supplication or asking is shown as a way to live with belief. But then she is rightfully asking, well, there are a lot of things that I'm not even aware that I'm asking. And actually you are suggesting that as much as I start seeing that all my actions are asking, then this is how I will start feeling or realizing that I can live more with my living. So I guess now combining the two ends of the spectrum, because one is coming from the why the theme was set as such, and on the other end of the spectrum you are suggesting that actually realizing that you are asking is a tool to live with belief. So I guess combining the two should be something, as you were suggesting, that with maybe some very practical examples of I should try to see that I am asking for some simple things, and for those simple things I am being responded. So as much as I make it like a habit to see things as, oh, this is a response. Actually, I was asking, and I was responding. So as much as I get this habit of starting to see what I was asking and what I was receiving as a response, then maybe this can propagate for the rest of the beings around me. Then I can say that, oh, actually, that thing that I thought I never realized that I was asking was actually another sort of asking. So this change of perspective needs to happen, and it's something habitual, so it has to start somewhere.
Yes.
I guess in order to see the things that we do not consider as asking, we need to start practicing from somewhere. And I guess one of your examples was to see it while you're walking, or anything that sounds more reasonable or more relatable to anyone. It changes person to person, I guess. But it must start from somewhere. This is what I'm taking from this presentation.
Yes. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Let's end, inshallah.
I just wanted to add, I really appreciated the prayer at the end as well. The last slide was really nice. And I wanted to add also that may Allah bless all the teachers that we have had, including Buddhism and Sayyid Nursi, who learned a lot from, and Dr. Ali, who has, I don't need to do the introduction. Allah bless them all.
Thank you, Jazakallah.